So give an extra special round of applause for Laura Robbins. There we go.
So in September 2008, I pull up in my Range Rover to this 3-story apartment building, sandwiched between a Circus Liquors and a Nick's check cashing. "You've got to be kidding me, Lisa," I whisper to no one. "This better be the wrong address." Lisa, my little blonde divorce attorney, had told me that I needed to go here every week to get drug tested for 90 days, as I had just completed a 30-day stint in treatment for an absolute monster of an Ambien addiction. She told me that it was good to have ongoing proof that I was clean and sober post-treatment should my soon-to-be ex-husband ever call my sobriety into question with regard to the custody of our 2 young sons. Yeah, that's right. I said Ambien addiction. So much for a good night's sleep, right? So I've climbed these 3 flights of stairs, and this large woman with full sleeve tattoos unceremoniously hands me a cup and sends me down this bleak hallway to a disgusting toilet with a broken door lock, like here. And I'm walking down there, and I'm I'm looking around in horror thinking this place must be for criminals, right? Like hardcore heroin or meth users. Shouldn't they have a safer, separate testing site for us harmless Ambien addicts? And I get in the stall, and I'm trying not to touch anything, and I'm just pulling my jeans down when suddenly the door slams open. And at first I'm so startled and embarrassed that I don't even register that it's her, the woman that handed me the cup earlier. And I'm expecting her to excuse herself, but she just stands there staring at me. Her dark brown eyes remind me of a great white shark's, dead and steady. "I'll just be a minute," I say, trying to push the door closed. "Sorry," she says, holding it open easily with her massive leg. "I have to watch." She tells me that her name is Veronica and that she's responsible for making sure that the sample comes out of me and not some Ziploc bag hidden in my purse. Ziploc bag of pee in this Gucci hobo bag? I want to laugh out loud at the absurd idea that I would ever carry pee around, let alone inside my $2,000 bag, but it dawns on me that I've literally been cornered, and I'm not going to talk my way out of this one. Suddenly, my boys' faces pop up in front of me, and I feel hot tears pressing against the backs of my eyes. This woman might be my nemesis at this moment, but I cannot let her mess with my chances of keeping custody of my kids, so I pull my jeans down. I ask her if she minds running the water, and I start to explain what a shy bladder means, and she cuts me off, telling me she knows what it is. Her tone tells me she could care less about mine. So we sit there for what feels like hours. Finally, this slow, small stream comes trickling out. Mortified, I look the other direction as I hand her the cup. "It's probably not even enough to test," she says, and then walks out. The next week, I decide I need to be much better hydrated, so I stop at Starbucks for a venti iced coffee on my way in. It's well over 100 degrees outside, and I notice beads of sweat along Veronica's hairline as we're walking back to the bathroom. Just as we get to the stall, her eyes land on my Starbucks cup. "Where'd you get that?" And at first I'm alarmed, thinking maybe I've broken some obvious drug testing rule by bringing in an outside drink. But then I see the way she's looking at it, and it's less of a "where'd you get that?" and more like a "hey, where'd you get that?" But still, I don't know how to answer her because obviously I got it at Starbucks. "Starbucks," I say, "the one by my house?" She tells me that there's no Starbucks in her neighborhood, and she gets her coffee from the Sev every morning after she drops her kids off at school. I nod with what I hope is a really empathetic expression, and I'm trying to think of some appropriate response, but my mind is a complete blank. Still, seconds later, when I hand her my almost overfull pea cup, I think maybe, just maybe, I see the corners of her mouth turning up ever so slightly. "Better," she says, as she writes my name on the outside. The next week, I arrive with 2 venti Starbucks iced coffees. And as I'm climbing the last flight of stairs, I'm a little on edge because I don't know if I'm allowed to bring her anything. Like, could this be considered bribery? Will I get Veronica into trouble? And so she comes out from behind the partition when she sees me, and she smiles, and she takes this first long, thirsty sip, and she says, "Oh, you didn't have to bring me anything." And I'm like, "Hey, I come in here, and you watch me pee every week. On the real, this might be the most intimate relationship I have for a long time. I do not mind buying you a drink." So we're walking back to the bathroom, and we're about to turn in, and she says, "You know what's funny about this job?" And I'm all wet, and she says, "I got a shy bladder too. That's how I knew what you meant before. I don't think I could ever pee in front of anyone." So I brought Veronica coffee every week for the next 2.5 months, and even though my sobriety was never called into question during my divorce, and I got to keep custody of my kids, I still don't really regret getting drug tested. Okay, true. The first time I walked up in there, I was like, oh, hell no. I got to come in here every week and be humiliated by this woman? But by the time it ended, after a few weeks, and Veronica and I got to know each other, and we saw how much we really had in common, kids, ex-husbands, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, we rehash that every week. It was clear that going the extra mile had done more than just giving me a 90-day crash course in humanity. In that short span of time, and with a little help from Starbucks, Veronica and I became friends. Thank you.